A woman never belongs to you. It's just your turn.
Rich guys and hot guys get cheated on like everybody else. You lost your edge, she lost attraction. That's how it works. Don't just give her your attention. Make her earn it.
What'd you think she was gonna do? Tell you she cheated?
Live from Philadelphia, your man, Donovan Sharpe.
What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to the 512th edition of TSR Primetime, your nightly dose of red pill truth, wisdom, and awareness. As always, we are presented by Gorilla Mind Rush, the best supplement for energy, focus, and concentration I have ever used. I'm able to lift weights, crank out 10, 15 miles on my bike, do my consultations, prepare for my show, and then do my show. And then when I'm done, there is absolutely zero crash, and I have plenty left in the tank to enjoy the rest of my night. If you want the same kind of production without the crash or habit-forming risks, go to donovansharpe.com/Gorilla Mind Rush. Again, that is donovansharpe.com/Gorilla Mind Rush. Unfortunately, Gorilla Mind Rush doesn't work on my computer, so if there's a little bit of a lag, my apologies. I'm buying a new system here shortly, imminently. Getting a little bit tired of my equipment that I paid good money for failing me. I don't know. I'm gonna have to have it looked at. It is Monday, September 23rd, 2019. It is good to have you guys in tonight. The fall is officially upon us, which is awesome because fall happens to be my favorite season. Football, pumpkin spice, and everything in between with the leaves changing, all that good stuff. A special thanks goes out to John B. and DJ. John B. donated $75 over the weekend, and DJ donated $15 over the weekend. So thank you guys very much for your contributions. If you'd like to contribute to the show, you can do so via Super Chat or my Streamlabs link, which is streamlabs.com/Donovan Sharpe and the number 1. Again, that is streamlabs.com/Donovan Sharpe and the number 1. We are streaming live to YouTube and Twitter via Periscope. So however you're watching, wherever you're watching from, thank you for making the Sharpe Reality Primetime a part of your nightly routine. Okay, let's get right to it. Today's topic was submitted by David C. And the video that David submitted is a TED Talk given by a woman who goes by Dr. Zhana Vrangalova. Now, Dr. Zhana Vrangalova holds a PhD in developmental psychology from Cornell, but she's not a developmental psychologist. Oh, no. Ms. Vrangalova is a sex expert who trades in sex positivity, promiscuity, casual sex, threesomes, trains, polyamory, open relationships, and anything that has to do with literally the polar opposite of monogamy, at least within the confines of a committed relationship. The long and the short of what she does is she gives talks, she writes articles, and she runs a blog that justifies sleeping around and packages it as legit sex science. Now, anytime somebody describes something as legit, it says to me that the purveyor knows that it is indeed not legit. Because if it were legit, you wouldn't have to call it legit, right? So the fact that she calls it legit science tells us that she knows there's really no such thing as sex science. At any rate, take a look at your screen, guys. We're going to take a quick look at who and what Dr. Zhana is. I'm going to remove myself from the screen here so you guys can get a good look. So this is, I'm going to show you guys a few pictures just so we can get an idea as to who she is and what she's about. So this is from her blog. I don't even know what her blog website is. It doesn't even matter. Right off the bat, you can see that Dr. Vrangalova has countless banana gobbler tells. Sex toys on the couch, check. Short skirt, check. Sleeve tattoo, check. Chest tattoo, check. Large leg tattoo, check. Problem glasses, I can promise you there's no prescription for those glasses, check. 1,000 cock stare, check. Slut face, check. This woman is a doctor. She teaches at NYU. Yet, here she is, posing as a sex expert. Here's another slide from her website. Debunking popular sex myths that ruin lives. Interesting. I didn't know that monogamy ever ruined anyone's life. Anyway, you guys can see that she is endorsed by, obviously, TEDx, TED Talks, Cosmopolitan, the Huffington Post, Teen Vogue, The New Yorker and NYU, Psychology Today, Vice, etc., etc. But she's also endorsed by Playboy and Pornhub. I guess Pornhub believes in sex science as well. Nothing is one size fits all when it comes to sex, according to Dr. Zhana. And then, of course, she has all of the praise. NYU professor Zhana Vrangalova is New York City's own master of sex. It doesn't take... This is so funny. I love it when women call themselves sex experts or masters of sex. A woman who's a master of sex is just a woman who's slept around, right? We'll talk about this later. Look at Carly Scioratino, whatever. It's probably not even a real name. I call Dr. Zhana, she says, the archangel of sex positivity. She's an amazing sex educator because she has the ability to translate complex sex research in a way that's fun and never judgmental, and in the process has made so many people, including myself, feel less shame about their sexy and slutty desires. There's nothing complex about sex research. Just sleep with a bunch of guys. Research complete. There you go. She does sex coaching, online courses. She speaks. She writes, blah, 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 blah. See that? Do you need a scientific yet accessible perspective to share with your audience? Hire me to do some writing for your blog, magazine, or website. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. We need a hoe writing about hoe tendencies. Awesome. I pulled these photos here off of Facebook. We're going to get to the video in a second, guys. I promise. I just wanted to show you who this chick is. Again, you can see the arm tattoo there. And then, of course, she's pointing to a picture. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm trying to keep it YouTube friendly here. But you can see that she is just, she's just the sex pot. She's the sex kitten. No, life is so great because her life is all about sex, 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 sex. Ooh, look at me. I'm pointing to a picture of the clitoris. I mean, come on. And then, of course, the picture on the left, that's basically her being a wannabe Instagram model, right? Looks like slut face. And then, of course, let me take myself back off there. There she is on the radio talking about sexy, slutty things, hoe things. And then there's the picture of her on the right without her quote-unquote problem glasses. So we already know all we need to know, and I'm going to bring this course stuff up later. So we know all that we need to know about Ms. Vrangalova. So what we are going to do now is, there we go. So that brings us to Ms. Vrangalova's TED Talk. Now, the TED Talk lasts for 17 minutes. So I'm going to break this down over 2 episodes, which makes tonight part 1, and tomorrow night will be part 2. And it's amazing. I cannot believe that everything seems to be running smoothly. There doesn't appear to be any lagging. Holy smokes. I don't know. I guess I had to yell at my computer. Anyway, we're going to break this down in the customary Donovan Sharpe way. Let's make the sound switch. Buckle up, guys. Here we go.
Hi. So our world today.
Right off the bat, she already sounds nervous, right? Hi. This is what happens when you're trying to legitimize promiscuity. All right, let's continue.
Is a far more sexually permissive place than it used to be 50 years ago. These days, for most people, premarital sex is okay. Oral sex is okay. In this post-50 Shades of Grey era, even kinky sex is okay. But we're still very conflicted as a society and as individuals over whether it's acceptable and healthy to have casual sex.
No, we're not. Nobody's conflicted about casual sex. Nobody's conflicted about premarital sex. Nobody's conflicted about anything. People who make statements like this, statements that are just flat out false, they do this to make themselves sound like trailblazers or people going against the grain. Dr. Zhana is trying to paint herself as this pioneer or rebel who's rebelling against society's norms by fighting back against the patriarchy in order to vanquish all slut-shaming. Well, the problem here, Ms. Vrangalova, is that society's norms are not what they used to be. What she's doing is she is using a standard from 50 years ago, as it never fails that someone calls me while I'm on the air, from 50 years ago, and making it the standard today. Sex outside of marriage isn't taboo anymore, guys. Casual sex isn't taboo. Nobody's conflicted about this topic because everybody does it all the time. Women are always looking for ways to make themselves sound unique or special, And Dr. Zhana is no different. This woman is little more than a hoe with a PhD who fashions herself a sex expert because of her PhD. The research she does is just banging a bunch of dudes. Of course you're a sex expert. You're a woman, and women are hoes. Dr. Zhana is not going against the grain or blazing any trails here, guys. All she is doing is making money by telling women it is okay to sleep around. But because she has a PhD, she doesn't consider herself to be a hoe. Enough of these women, talking about society's norms. Promiscuity is normalized and glorified, and anyone who talks about it or talks about how it damages women is called a misogynist, male or female.
Sex outside the confines of long-term romantic relationships. We're constantly surrounded by it, yet we're often told it's bad for us, we shouldn't be doing it. By the time we're 25, 70% of us will have hooked up at least once.
And there you have it. She's telling us that 7 out of 10 people will have had sex by the age of 25, which means that nobody's conflicted, again, about having casual sex or sex outside of marriage. And her statistic is actually misleading. She said that 70% of people have had sex by the age of 25, and that may or may not be true. I don't know. But I do know this. Better than 99.9% of women have had sex in this country well before the age of 25. Now, how do you know this, Donovan? Well, simple. Ask yourself this. How many 25-year-old virgins do you know? Yeah, I didn't think so. What Dr. Vrangalova is going to do throughout this video, and you guys are going to see this, she is going to conjoin male statistics with female statistics, and she does this on purpose to hide the truth about the differences between men and women with regards to sleeping around. She's going to use the word people instead of women or men, because if she used the genders, then we'd see the ugly truth. And if people know the ugly truth, then Dr. Zhana here is out of a job, at least in this particular industry.
And yet most of us will worry we shouldn't really be doing it.
You see that? Again, most of us, right? The people who worry about having sex outside of marriage, casual sex, are women. Women! Females are born with an inherent understanding that sleeping around is bad for them in every conceivable way. Mentally, physically, psychologically, etc. Why else does most of the slut-shaming come from women? Why else does slut-shaming exist in the first place? Why else do women divide their body counts by 15? It's because females know that sleeping around is bad for them. They know this. This is why they're always, can you please quiet down? Jesus Christ. This is why they're always trying to justify their promiscuity with studies, statistics, and now TED Talks with tatted up sluts who hold a PhD who has a fancy foreign name that starts with the letter Z to make her sound more legit.
But there's something that doesn't make sense here to me about this love-hate relationship we have with casual sex.
Oh, well, tell us, please, Dr. Z.
We all seem to agree that sex with a romantic partner has all these amazing benefits, from longer and healthier lives to better relationships and greater happiness. So how come that same sexual activity has the exact opposite effect if our partner is a stranger or a friend? Is sex somehow good for us only because of the love and commitment we feel for our partners? And without that love and commitment, it automatically turns into a destructive force? Isn't there something good in just, sex?
Again, she's not distinguishing the difference between men and women, guys. Sex is always better for women when the person they're having sex with is someone that they love and care about. But for men, it doesn't matter. We couldn't care less about how we feel about a woman. It doesn't matter if she's a stranger or a friend. It's all the same to us. Yes, there is something good in just sex. But the reason it does far more damage to women than men when done casually is because sex is more emotional to women. She can be as clever and as cute as she wants. But facts are facts, and no amount of hamstering is going to make a post-wall female with a notch count of 468 mentally and physically healthier than a female than a female the same age with a body count of 2.
When I started my PhD in developmental psychology, I decided to get to the bottom of this. Is casual sex objectively bad for us? Or is this just another grossly over-exaggerated moral sex panic that the US has had no shortage of? In the 10 years since, we've learned a great deal about casual sex from social science research, my own and that of other scholars.
My own and that of other scholars. This makes me laugh. This woman is on stage acting as though she's some sort of intellectual scholar who's written papers and opinions on the many dimensions of psychology. Right? The way she says, my own and that of other scholars. You ain't a scholar, hun. You're a hoe with a website who gives women permission to sleep around who happens to have a degree. She didn't set out to get to the bottom of this sexual quagmire. She slept around for so long that by the time she got her PhD, she said, you know what? I can justify my promiscuous behavior with research and statistics because I have a PhD in psychology. And because of this, people will believe what I say. There's nothing complex or awe-inspiring about this woman or her education. This woman is a basic bitch who made a business decision based on her lack of sexual temperance and her education. That's it, man. That's it.
But virtually 90% of that knowledge is based on US undergrads. And trust me, you are not the only people hooking up. So, to supplement our knowledge and understanding of this phenomenon, I started this website called the Casual Sex Project. It's an online space for people of all demographic backgrounds to share their true stories of hookups.
Translation: I started a website for women to share their hookup stories without the judgmental gaze that comes with sharing them with people in the real world. Again, guys, this sex doctor is nothing more than a female who has dedicated her life to justifying her sexual exploits and telling other women they can do it too. That's all this is.
My hope was to give people a chance to tell their stories, make sense of their experiences through this process of storytelling, but also to paint a more diverse, richer picture of what casual sex really looks like, what it means to people, what it feels like, what its aftermath may be. In the 10 months since the website's been up, it's been viewed over 6 million times. Over 1,200 stories have been shared by people from all over the world, and it's been written about on 6 continents. So, what have all these stories and studies taught us about casual sex and well-being? Well, here are a few things that you may not have been aware of. First of all, casual sex has many potential benefits.
Really?
Perhaps the most obvious one is sexual pleasure, orgasms, hedonic ecstasy, if you will. Then there are things like learning new sexual skills, making new friends. It's a good one. An increased sense of self-confidence.
An increased sense of self-confidence. Yep. She's absolutely right. Sexual attention gives men self-confidence, and sexual attention gives women self-confidence. But here's the difference. The confidence it gives men is productive, and the confidence it gives women is destructive. And let me explain. A man's confidence positively affects just about every part of his life, right? His dealings with work colleagues, business dealings in the gym, with women, even with his family and friends. Men and women alike are drawn to confident men. Men get confidence from many different things. They get it from job performance, the money we make, the kind of women he can attract, the things he can build, the things he can create, the things that he is capable of doing, and so on and so forth. Yes, let's call a spade a spade. Let's not cast any false aspersions. Yes, sexual attention from women certainly boosts that confidence, but men don't need sexual attention from women for validation. We get validation from ourselves. We are capable of that. Unfortunately, most men don't believe that they can get validation or don't believe that they can get validation from themselves. A lot of men believe that they have to be validated by the opposite sex. I used to be in that camp. Women, on the other hand, not so lucky. Now, to their credit, they do have to try to have self-confidence because they don't want to rely on male attention. But their biological imperative ends up thwarting any efforts they have, any efforts they try to achieve self-confidence or self-esteem, because a woman's value is based solely upon the quality of men she can attract. And for this reason, a woman's confidence is fueled by one of two things. Number one, sexual attention from endless men. And number two, a man of high quality's desire to commit to her. A woman whose confidence comes from her ability to please her man in bed, cook him meals, and elevate his life outside of the bedroom needs only to continue to do those things. That's all she needs to do. She doesn't need the validation of multiple men because she gets all the validation she needs in the form of a high-value male's commitment to her. This is real confidence. But as we all know, 99.9% of women get their confidence solely by sexual attention from multiple men. And when seeking sexual attention from more than one male, this kind of validation is an extremely destructive force. Guys, we see it every day. We see it all the time. When a woman gets consistent validation from a bunch of average to below average men, their entire lives become really about continuing to feed this addiction. They post half-naked pictures on social media. They flirt with everything with a Y chromosome and a smile. They're in and out of relationships because they're always monkey branching to the next shiny new male, hoping against all hope that this one is actually worth a damn. But what she never really figures out, until it's too late, is that making herself available to every man makes her unattractive to the men that matter to her. These are the long-term side effects, the men that she wants to be with, the high-value men that have eluded her. The reason this is a destructive force is because women go to great lengths to keep that stream of sexual validation coming. That confidence she exudes is nothing more than her knowing that men want to sleep with her. But what ends up happening is that she starts to confuse the lust of 1,000 below average men with the commitment, the desire to commit from a few exceptional men, right? The high value guys. Now, the exceptional men will sleep with her from time to time. They do need a slump buster after all, but they will never commit. But because she's been passed around by all these high value guys, she thinks she's got it in the bag and never really entertains thoughts of a long-term relationship with one. So thinking that these men who want to bang her also want to commit to her, she puts off taking anyone seriously, even high-value men. Even when she's well into her 30s, she thinks she's still got plenty of time because even though she's past the wall, men still want to sleep with her. But when she hits 38 and men stop using her for even the occasional one-night stand, she can't fall back on her confidence because all of her confidence came from male sexual attention. And now that that's gone, she gets depressed and ends up on antidepressants. So yes, ladies, absolutely. Listen, sleeping around can certainly make you feel confident. But never, ever, ever forget that sex and commitment are two very different things as far as men go. Oh, wait a minute there. All right. Excellent. Guys, if you want to mold and shape a woman into exactly what you want and need, you need my 5-part, 7-hour audio course on how to build a quality woman from the ground up. This is 7 hours of rock-solid intel on how to build a female brick by brick into the kind of woman you want and need. Part 1 deals with the vetting process. I teach you how to select the right candidate by telling you what to look for and, more importantly, what not to look for in a woman. Part 2 deals with the training process. I take you step by step through the procedures that prepare a female for what it's like to be in a relationship with a man like you. I educate you on setting the tone early in order to reduce and possibly eliminate any and all behaviors that could potentially cause trouble in your relationship down the road. In Part 3, I instruct you how to set and enforce boundaries and expectations. I teach you how to be direct when communicating your expectations in such a way that leaves absolutely nothing to interpretation. Part 4 covers the sexual side of your relationship, how to dominate her sexually, how you can make yourself unforgettable to her, even if you're not the most well-endowed lover she's ever been with, and the importance of deep conversion game to dominate her body and her mind will all be discussed extensively. And finally, part 5 will teach you how not to sabotage a relationship, how to maintain it, and what to do on the off chance that your woman gets out of line or out of pocket. Now, it's very important for you guys to understand that this course is based on personal experience. I'm not giving you guys hypotheticals. I'm not giving you guys theories. These are techniques that I use in my own relationship to this day. And anyone who follows me has seen that my techniques work, and they work well. Now, this isn't a cheat code or a magic bullet, guys. This course isn't make a woman your submissive sex slave by using this one weird trick, or how to make any woman obey you with these 3 simple phrases. Oh, no. Listen, that's not what this is. So if that's what you're looking for, keep your money, because that's not what I'm offering. To get your woman to look, act, and submit like the woman you want, that takes time, it takes hard work, it takes consistency, and it takes maintenance. If you are willing to do what's necessary to put yourself and your woman in the best position to have a rock-solid red pill relationship, go to donovansharpe.com/courses. Again, that is donovansharpe.com/courses. That is plural. Pardon me. All right, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this nonsense with this TED Talk here.
Accomplishment, desirability, empowerment, freedom. Then there are collecting fun stories and memories to tell your friends at the senior citizens home many years later, or share on the Casual Sex Project. There's even experiencing that deep, emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection with another human being that sometimes happens even though no romantic feelings are involved.
Say what? Guys, this is why we know this chick is full of it. There is no way a female can have a deep, emotional, spiritual connection through sex without having romantic feelings about the guy she's having sex with. This doctor is essentially telling women that they can temporarily pair bond with hordes of men over an extended period of time and have these deep, emotional, spiritual connections, but then turn around and completely divorce their feelings when the dirty deed is done because there are no romantic feelings involved. For women, you can't have it. You can't have one without the other. It cannot be done. If a woman does not have romantic feelings for a guy she's having sex with, she's not going to have an emotional or spiritual experience, guys. The ability to divorce feelings from sex is something men are able to do, but not women, at least to a point. Women lose the ability to emotionally connect to men through sex after they reach a certain threshold. It could be guy number 5, it could be guy number 7, could be guy number 20. Every female is different. But if a woman doesn't stop sleeping around, eventually she will get to the point to where she can't feel anything other than lust. You'll actually know you were messing around with a girl like this if she doesn't like to kiss, right? If she doesn't like affectionate touching, like hand holding hands or spooning, things like that. She's had the innocence fucked out of her, so she no longer likes those innocent activities. If you see a tatted up chick with a bull ring and green hair holding hands with a man, it means he's got a 13-inch dick and he bangs her like he hates her. But outside of that, women who have slept around for an extended period of time don't like to do things that show emotional connection. For this woman to tell women that they can still have emotional, sexual experiences without romantic feelings is grossly irresponsible. Girls are going to learn one way or another, but they're going to learn the hard way that they cannot have it both ways. And oh, by the way, there's nothing intellectual about sex. Like, what? Ay. Let's continue.
But casual sex has yet another powerful pull on us. As Esther Perel so eloquently puts it, humans have this fundamental need for adventure, novelty, mystery, risk, danger, the unknown, the unexpected. Some more than others, but it's there in our DNA. And that is a need that casual sex satisfies effortlessly.
Once again, she is putting men and women in the same category. And this is where women who listen to her and believe these things will end up miserable and alone. Now, she is half right when she says that we want adventure and novelty and the unknown and risk. This is true of both sexes. The difference is that these things are beneficial to men, but detrimental to women. And here's why. A man who's fought battles and endured hardship and turmoil, he is attractive to women. He's experienced success. He's experienced failure. And that experience, that failure, that success, that gives him a rough exterior. It gives him a toughness and resolve, and women are drawn to these characteristics. Now, on the other hand, a man who's never really experienced chaos or strife or had to overcome obstacles or grind through tough times, men like this are soft. They're effeminate. They're squeamish. These are the men who have had it easy in life. These are the men who are born with all the advantages and has never really had to fight his way out of a bad situation or persevere through difficult times and is visibly naive to the hard truths of life and survival. These men are not attractive to women because women do not like soft men. Let's stick it to the other gender. A female who's been through a lot of chaos. A female who's fought a lot of battles and has that same toughness and resolve. A female who's got that same calloused exterior forged by the pain and the hardship that she suffered was caused by seeking those unknown adventures, that risk. But ladies, men are not drawn to these characteristics. Now, don't get me wrong, a woman should have at least a little bit of mental toughness, right? But not to the point where she acts like a man. And this is exactly, listen up, ladies, this is exactly what seeking adventure and novelty and risk does to women. It makes them bitter. It makes them sullen, and it makes them masculine, and masculine men do not like masculine women. Period. That's just how it is. Now, taking it to the other side, a female who hasn't experienced much in the way of risk and novelty has sort of an innocent, untampered glow about her that is irresistible to men. Unlike women, men like soft women. So while casual sex effortlessly satisfies all of these biological desires, the effect is very different for men and women. These effects look good on men. Women, not so much. Just like innocence and naivety looks terrible on men, but makes women unbearingly tempting to men.
By its very nature. And it's a need that's much more difficult, if not impossible, to meet in the long-term part of long-term relationships.
Again, she's right. But she's leaving out the diametrically different cost to benefit assessment as it applies to men and women. I keep beating a dead horse here, guys, but I can't say this enough. What she is talking about in this TED Talk is 100% true, but the consequences are good for men, bad for women. She won't say this.
Now, there are, of course, risks. Unsatisfying sex, broken hearts, ruined friendships, regret, coercion, confusion, awkwardness, STIs and unwanted pregnancies, social stigma, disrespectful partners. Now, people fear that most of the time these cons outweigh the pros. But that is simply not true.
What the hell is she talking about? The cons don't outweigh the pros? What fucking world does she live in? So let me get this straight. I just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. The benefit of sexual pleasure and orgasms outweighs the emotional trauma, the destroyed friendships, the regret, the STDs, the STIs, the unwanted pregnancies, which lead to abortion, which leads to yet more emotional pain and physical trauma. A few minutes of hedonism outweighs the drawbacks that come with the consistent pursuit of said hedonism. And here's where she's really missing the mark. Sexual pleasure is fleeting. It's temporary. It doesn't last long. Orgasms are temporary. Even if a woman has unbelievable, mind-blowing sex for an hour and orgasms for 20 minutes straight, it is still a drop in the bucket compared to the risks that come with sleeping around for women. That heartbreak she mentioned, that emotionally scars women and causes them to regress emotionally and build walls to protect themselves. This manifests itself through a bitter, sullen disposition. This has a lasting effect that never goes away. You hear guys all the time, oh yeah, she's a strong woman, right? You hear women, oh yeah, well, I'm a strong woman, I've been through a lot. Yes, you've been through a lot of men. This is why you are bitter and sullen. A lot of guys mistake a woman's bitter, sullen disposition as strength when it's really just fatigue from getting pumped and dumped. Those destroyed friendships that she talked about, those take a toll on a woman's self-worth. Also not temporary, also permanent. Regret? Not temporary either. Women have to live with this regret every day of their lives, and it haunts them until the day they die. Every woman, without exception, has done something sexually deviant that she just can't get out of there, that she just can't get out of her head. It could be any number of crazy things. She had to try it once, maybe twice. And it's mind fucked her to the point where she's like, dude, how in the world, why did I do that? She'll never tell anyone about it. That's a secret she's taken to her grave. STDs and STIs last a hell of a lot longer than orgasms ever have. And an unwanted pregnancy ends in either an abortion or putting the kid up for adoption, both of which are emotional suicide, or your life is forever changed if you decide to have and keep the kid. For this woman to stand up here and say with a straight face that the cons that come with sleeping around don't outweigh the benefits, they're the pros, that shows that she's either peddling willful ignorance or she is showing a willingness to lead women astray. Because if this woman were as educated as her PhD says she is, she would be keenly aware of the fact that the risks far outweigh the rewards of promiscuity. There's no way this woman doesn't know that 1 in 4 women are on antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds. She's a doctor, for God's sake. Yet, here she is, telling women that sleeping around does more good than harm. The first line in the Hippocratic Oath is do no harm. So it should come as no surprise that this doctor of developmental psychology doesn't have a private practice. Otherwise, she'd be sued into the Stone Ages for malpractice. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Study after study finds this pattern for how people feel following their hookups.
Oh, check this out.
For both men and women alike, positive post-hookup reactions, happy, pleased, excited, are much stronger than negative hookup reactions.
Guys, look at your screen. Hold on, I'm gonna move my box here. Guys, look at your screen. Look at your screen. The graph on the screen clearly shows that more men have positive feelings after hooking up than women do. And on the other side, it shows that women have more negative feelings after hooking up than men do. Like, are you serious with this? The graph that she is using to make her case is doing quite literally the opposite. Yet, here she is telling us that people have more positive than negative feelings after hookup, when it is showing us here in plain English that the gender having positive feelings are men and that the gender having negative feelings are women. But here's what this little graph is leaving out, and this is very important. You guys need to listen up. This graph doesn't show how many times people have hooked up. In other words, it doesn't tell us what number of hookups. And here's what I mean. The first few times a girl hooks up or has casual sex with a few guys, yeah, she feels happy. She feels excited. She feels adventuresome and all the rest of that. Of course she does. What she's doing is exciting. What she's doing is new. Body count numbers 9, 10, and 11 are always fun, and they give girls extreme feelings of pleasure. It's the newness. It's the novelty like she talked about earlier. But after guys number 270, 271, and 272, those feelings turn into feelings of being used. feelings of being empty, feelings of being disappointed. She feels used because he didn't spend the night and hasn't heard from him since he plowed her on her couch. She feels empty because casual sex is like junk food in that the more you eat, the more you want it, but it never seems to quite fill you up or keep you full. And she feels disappointed because nobody smashed her like guy number 34 did, and nobody's penis was as big as guy number 73. Or was that guy number 83? They can never remember. There's just so many of them, she'll brag. Happy, pleased, and excited are what men feel after a hookup every single time. Because why, class? Because men are affected differently by sex than women are. It doesn't matter how many times a man has a casual sex encounter. We always feel happy and pleased and excited. Whether it's girl number 4 or girl number 164, we never feel used. We never feel empty. We never feel disappointed. Well, I don't know, maybe you are disappointed because the girl wouldn't leave after you kicked her out, but that's far from the real disappointment that women feel. Dr. Zhana is using a chart that flies in the face of what she's telling the crowd, and they are too dumb to realize. Everyone is chuckling. Oh, get the hell out of here with this, man. This is unbelievable, and the crowd is just lapping it up.
Used, empty, disappointed. Other studies show that casual sex has little to no impact on longer-term psychological well-being. Things like self-esteem, life satisfaction, depression, anxiety.
Are you kidding me with this? Like, are you for real? Are you for real with this? She's actually telling people, as a doctor of developmental psychology, that there is little to no impact on longer-term psychological well-being that comes with sleeping around. Never mind that 1 in 4 women are on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications, or both, really. Never mind that women who are well into their 30s who have slept around have extremely low self-esteem and self-worth, which manifests itself into more promiscuous behavior because sex is the only way they can feel good about themselves. Never mind that the women who have successful careers, have more money and power than they've ever had in human history, are outwardly telling everyone who will listen that despite the amount of wealth, power, and influence that they've achieved, they're still unhappy because they're single and childless. Candace Bushnell, the woman who is quite literally responsible for women thinking that they can sleep around in their 20s and end up with their own version of Mr. Big in their 30s when they're all used up, she has admitted that she regrets not settling down and having children. Shonda Rhimes, who created Grey's Anatomy, and Scandal, whose net worth is north of $130 million, is unmarried and childless. Think she has high self-esteem? Think she's completely satisfied with life? There is proof all around us that women who sleep around end up alone, unhappy, miserable, with low self-esteem, who are depressed about being alone and anxious about dying alone. But here is Dr. Vrangalova telling us that studies show that this isn't true. I don't need studies or statistics that prove that promiscuity has negative, permanent, long-term effects on women. All I got to do is walk around and live life. Anytime someone uses stats or graphs or studies to prove their point, it shows that they know that their argument is inherently flawed. This is why I don't use studies or statistics on my show, guys. I don't need them. These blatant truths are staring us right in the face all the time. And anyone who doesn't see it is either choosing to remain willfully ignorant or they simply have no common sense. Another reason I don't use statistics on my show is, number one, because we all know that numbers can be manipulated to say whatever you want them to. And number two, people lie on surveys. And when I say people, I mean women. OMG, Donovan, how do you know women lie on surveys? Watch the screen, guys. Remember this little quote-unquote survey from a while back?
I've had, I would probably say 5 or 6. Do I have time to count? 6.5. I think it's like 8 or 9.
I have not counted. few.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
I counted because I listed it today just to make sure.
that's sick.
9. 5. 12. 28. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that's
Oh, I don't believe in counting.
Oh, I'm sure you don't.
I have had actually not that many partners. I've had one really serious.
Yeah.
I've never really counted, but I'd say it's in the teens, early 20s.
I'll get the hell out of here.
List, but my boyfriend watches this.
I bet he would. Unbelievable. Listen, guys, women lie all the time, even when they don't have to, like on surveys that are completely anonymous. Now, you can't expect women to give you their real notch count on camera. Like, okay, so that's sort of a loaded question, but you get the idea. Women lie. This is why we don't believe a woman when she says on a survey, an anonymous survey, that she's happy and fulfilled and has plenty of self-esteem and is happy with life, even though she's had 515 partners. Because we see that same woman at the grocery store picking up wine, cat food, and ice cream, then heads over to the pharmacy to pick up Ambien to knock her out at night, Lexapro to keep suicidal thoughts out of her mind, and Valium to keep her anxiety about ending up alone and childless at 48 years old under control. I break down the rest of this TED Talk tomorrow night at 6:30. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.